Hello all and welcome to Economic Board Games, the channel. Today I'm going to give you a run through of one of my favourite games, Imperial, brought to you by designer Matt Gertz, and this is the Rio Grande Games edition. Now it's quite an old game, this one. I did an overview a week or so ago if you want to just kind of get a summary of the game, but today we're going to go straight in and get to the nitty gritty and give you a bit more detail as to how this one plays. Now it's a 2 to 6 player game. I would say it's better with that 3 and 4 player count. It does work with 2. I've had a lot of fun with it, and you're probably looking at between 2 and 3 hours to be comfortable. Now today I've got not really enough space on the camera, so I've got the main board and then I've kind of got a tray with all the kind of ships and tax pieces and the bank as well. So let's dive straight in then. I'm going to be acting out a 2-player game today, but it's only me here, so bear with me. To begin with, you've got this token here. We're going to be starting off with Austria-Hungary, and convenient on this board you've got the numbers as well, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to be going around clockwise. At the bottom, player 1, I've already distributed them out. They've got these nations here, and then this player's got these, and you can see just below them, just out of view of the camera, you've got the bonds. So essentially in this game you are an investor and you are investing your money into nations, and you've got the 6 nations, and when you provide them with the money, whoever is at that moment in time bought the most bonds, should we say, so in this case Germany, someone's paid 9 million for that, 4 million for that, that's a total of 13, which gives them the majority, and they get this flag to show that, which means they get to govern that nation. And that's important because that's how you do the actions on the board on this Rondelle, so they get control, which will make a lot more sense as I go through. So the starting player, Austria, we can see that this player will call these player number 1 and player number 2. They've got the Austrian flag. They will decide what to do first. So they take the yellow token on the Rondelle and they can go anywhere on here. So let's start nice and easy. We're going to go to factory and we're going to build a factory. Now there is this player guide which comes in, there's a few of them in the box, and it's got a really handy guide as to where the money goes throughout the game, which is crucial, and it tells you what everything does. So a factory is about building one of these on the board. You've got the blue ones which build your ships and the brown ones which build your artillery, and these are all preset. At the beginning of the game you can see they've got the squares and you have the capacity to build on any of these circles. So yellow is this area here, and they're going to build a, what can we build? We can only build one of the brown factories, so we will do that. So we'll pay 5 million to get one of these, and we're going to plonk it on Lemberg. Now this money comes out of the nation, so this is their funds here. Just to the right is the shares that are available to buy, or the bonds should I say. So they are going to pay 5 million out of their money to the bank. Over to the next player, number 2, Italy. So that's these guys here, and they are thinking about producing. So we move. They could, if they want, go on factory. There's no harm. You can have as many as you want on that one. Right, production. So production is where each factory in that region, so in this case the greens, Italy, is going to produce something. The browns will produce the artillery. Let me just grab one of those. Now I'm not going to do a full run through today. I'm going to give you probably 3 or 4 rounds, because otherwise you'll get pretty bored, and it's not, you know, I love playing this game, but it's not going to be that much fun playing against myself. Right, so each unit is produced. Now it's like a railway network essentially in the green area here. So this artillery can essentially go anywhere, but I guess for max sense you put it next to the factory, and the ships you make are actually in port when you first produce them, and as a move on manoeuvre, which I'll show you after, they come out of port and they go into the sea area. So there we go, that is production. Over to France, which is this player, and they're going to go factory as well. So France, we've got the capability to build a marine, I think they're called, and one of those. So let's go with a marine. I've got a feeling we're going to sort of have a bit of battling with the British up there. So 5 million out of the French government's funds. There we go, 5 mil. Now importantly, the government has their own money, so each nation has their own money, and you as an investor will have your separate private fund, which you keep secret because you don't want to give away to your opponent what your purchasing power is. And it's crucial that you manage this money of your nation well, because if they go bankrupt, then you do have to pay the interest, which will make sense surely. It's coming out of your money, so be mindful of that. We are over to Britain then. So red, I think they're going to produce as well. They've got these 2 marines, so we're going to get 2 ships, and that doesn't cost you anything. Over to, and it literally just keeps going round, folks. We've got Germany. And let's just show you something different. We're going to go Germany, import. So import is where you can, it's not the best move to be honest to do straight away, but it's where you can buy up to 3 things in any combination. So ships or artillery, and you pay $1 million per one you wish to buy. Now this is key at some stages in the game where you might find that your territories have been occupied by enemies. And trust me, folks, it's not a war game, I promise. This is an investor game, but you just get this sense of power as you move these pieces around to try and manipulate the war, should we call it. So you've got 3 pieces. I've gone for 2 artillery and a ship, and we can't have those. So let's plonk those there. Okay, so that's import. You're literally paying for them rather than producing them for free. And you can already probably gather that building your factories first is a great advantage, because when you go to produce later, for example, Austria-Hungary, they'll be producing 3 things now for free, which is great. We are over to Russia, the final ones, and let's go produce as well. And they have got 1 of each. Let's go and get those. Okay, so a ship in the Black Sea and some artillery. Awesome, so we're back around already. That was pretty much one full swing. Right, we're going to get some stuff done now. So Austria-Hungary, that's these guys. And on here, you can see it says up to 3 fields for free. So they are currently, the yellow is in the factory. They can move 1, 2 or 3 spaces, however many they want, without cost. If they want to move further on, up to a maximum of 6, they have to pay 2 million to do so. So they're on factory. Let's just say they want to go and produce now, because they've built that factory ace. They can actually get 1 more artillery than the other guys. Let me get a few of these out. So they're slowly building their army. Over to Italy. What are they going to do? And it's kind of weird managing both nations, because well, you're playing against each other, I guess. So Italy, what are they going to do? Greens. So what you can do is really kind of limited to this Rondelle, which is great. It really streamlines it now. Importantly, this investor spot is red, you'll notice, and let's just break all the rules and go past it. So we'll land on it. We'll break all the rules. So investor. So what happens when you land on investor? So it kind of guides you on here as well. If that's so, you got stage 1, 2, and 3. And the first one is you pay interest. So that nation, in this case Italy, will pay out money from their government funds to all the players who own green shares. So you can see player 2 is going to get paid 4 million, shall we say, 4 million interest, and this player happens to have a share as well, and they're going to get 2 million. Now you can see at the bottom, hopefully that zooms in for you, you can see it's a 44% ratio. So you paid 9 million, you're getting 4 million return every time someone who runs that nation lands on invest, and this guy's got 50%. So they do vary in the pack, and you can see you start off with 1. So the more of these you get, the more interest you're going to be earning. So we pay that money out then. So player 2 is going to get 4 million. And player 1, what did we say? They're going to get 2 million. So they've already got funds ready to buy more bonds when that becomes available. So step 2 then is collect the, oh no, what am I looking at? The player of the investor card gets 2 million from the bank and gets to buy a bond. So unless you're playing the alternative rules, there's only 1 chance to acquire these bonds, and that is when someone passes or lands on this spot. In this case, they've landed on it. So you've given the interest out, Step 2, whoever has this investor card, I can't recall who begins with, I think it's the person opposite Russia maybe, they're going to get 2 million from the bank. There we are, so let's just assume it's this player. They pass this clockwise, so in this case it's going to go to this player, and these guys get to buy a bond, any one of their choice. And we'll try and oust this player on one of the flags just to kind of show you what's happening now. They haven't actually got that much money, they've got 4 million. Let's just say they're going to go for a green, and you can see on the greens that the cheapest one's going to cost you 2 mil and the next one's 6 mil. So they can't afford the 6 mil, so they're going to buy that for 2 million. You can see their total sum is 6 million compared to the other player's 9 million. So there's no change of power. Now, if the player one had managed to buy, this 16 here, they would then take the flag off this player, and that means they're controlling or governing these 4 nations, which is great because they get to control what they do on the Rondelle. Now, many games I've played, it is important to take government positions, but it's not necessarily the winning strategy. Sometimes being second fiddle is great as well. So what are we doing? So we've paid that 2 million, so they got some change. Now this money goes from you as an investor into the government of that nation, which is great because you give them the more funds, which means you can either take that back later on through investor again, or you can invest in factory and start building up your military strength. Over to France. So France are currently on factory. We're going to go and produce because they've invested a bit of money in those factories. Let's make the most of them. And we're going to go for 2 ships and an artillery unit. I'll try and get some manoeuvring done soon. Over to Britain. So let's do some manoeuvring then. So you can move each piece you have on the board, so in this case 2 ships, 1 spot each. So this one's going to come out of port into the English Channel, and these guys are going to come out into the North Atlantic. Now every time you enter a neutral territory, which is either one of these sea areas or one of these areas in kind of, what should we say, cream or beige, you get a tax token on it, and that's this sort of little disc here to represent that. Now these are important because when you go to tax, you're going to get more money for having influence across the board. So that's literally manoeuvre. I'll go through some combat in a bit. Over to Germany, and well, they've produced, so I guess we can manoeuvre. So we can go 2 spaces forward. If we did want to go ahead, we could go there for 3 spots, but pay 2 million extra to go to factory, which would come out of your own money. But we're not going to do that. We're going to manoeuvre. So Germany are going to come out of port into the North Sea. We'll just go and grab a tax token for that. Now, as I said, there's a railway network in here, so they can essentially move anywhere they want and then move out. So they can move to this place and then go 1 there. This one could equally go there and go 1 there. So we'll give them some tax tokens for those because they are neutral territories. Now you can see on the board, if you've not spotted already, that Switzerland is kind of neutral in all this. You can't actually go on that spot or through it or defend it or fight it. So they've managed to get a few tokens, great. Now where are we? Over to Russia. So look at here. We are going to show you, let's just go import. So we've gone 1, 2, 3. Now we have passed the investor spot. But before I do that, I'll just do this import option. And they're going to pay 3 million out of their funds. Let's just make sure they've got enough money. Yeah, so we'll take a 5, give them 2 change. And what are we going to do then? I think we're going to get some artillery. We're just going to go big on artillery because they're not, I haven't yet built a factory up here to sort of go into the Baltic Sea and then go from the north. So we'll build 3 of those. Not the best options to say because you're paying money whereas you should probably produce, but importantly we've passed the investor spot. Now what happens here is before we landed on it, so we do option 1 and the other 2 and 3. In this case we're only doing 2 and 3 when you pass through it. And remember, number 2 is where the investor, whoever's got the investor card, gets 2 million from the bank. So we give them some money and this card passes on, and then that player who had the card gets to buy a bond, and they're the only player who gets to buy a bond, unless you're playing like a free, well, any player number game. If you don't have any flags, you also get the opportunity to buy as well, which is probably going to be extremely rare in a 2-player game, probably more likely in a 4 or 5 player game. So they've got 2 million. What are they going to buy? So they can't really buy anything from Italy because these guys bought it. And do they want to establish? Let's just go for a bit more Russia. There we are, 2 million. 2 million into the government for Russia. Great. Over to Austria-Hungary. And they are going to go manoeuvre. So again, we can move within our railway network in here. One spot, so we're going to go there, and you notice we can't reach this spot because you can only go a maximum of 1. So we could go into other provinces, and that is crucial sometimes because, let's say, for example, Germany, maybe they've got too many factories. They could go from here into Munich. Let's just imagine that was there. And you declare if you're going to be attacking or friendly. So if you're going to be friendly, I believe you lie your piece down. If you're attacking, then you're going to leave it face up, and that shows that that factory is occupied, which means it won't produce, which is crucial. You can start hindering your opponent's factories, which is massive. So let's put that back to normal, and we are going to go, I think we're just going to put 2 in here because there's a lot of neutral territories that will get us some nice tax tokens. Let's just find a couple of those. We've got 1 there and 1 there. Over to Italy, and they are an investor. They are going to go to production, and we're going to go for another ship. So you can have as many ships as you want in port. Just line them up, and we've got another artillery. Okay, so you can see it's kind of really quick, really, as to a nation's go, and it's very streamlined as it goes around, which gives you more thinking power to concentrate on where you're going to invest your money, really, and what strategies you're going to employ on the board. France, let's manoeuvre. Let's do a bit of combat. I can't quite do combat yet, so they're going to bring this one out, this one out. So they got 2 here. Irrelevant how many you got, you're only going to get 1 tax token. Now, this artillery can go in the railway network and go straight into Spain. But let's just assume someone was occupying this. You can actually send your artillery through your ships as well. So it's a one-time thing. So this ship could only ever transport 1. So if you had 4 items here, you could send 1 through this and 1 through that. And that can go to any connecting country where that ship is. So here we go to Morocco, and you can see there's a little line there, so we couldn't go that far. So let's just do that. We'll send this through one of these ships, let's just say this one, and go down to Morocco. I've taken the long path there. I could have literally just gone straight into Spain, but just to kind of show you how the ships can be used to transport your artillery. So we've done our manoeuvring, and we get a tax token there, which we've done, and we're going to get a tax token down here. Over to Britain. So Britain are going to, shall we manoeuvre? Let's manoeuvre. We'll show you a bit of combat. This is how simple combat is. They're going to go into the Bay of Biscay, however you pronounce that. They can declare themselves friendly. They are essentially the attackers because they've gone in first. If they're friendly, put it down. But your opponent might not want to be friendly. They might want to attack. Let's just assume they want to be friendly as well. Why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you can have negotiations. You don't have to abide by them, but you might be like, right, Britain and France, I'm going to leave you alone. Or it might be the case that, Britain, player 2 here has actually acquired the government of France, and they don't really want to attack each other. So in this case, they might be friendly, and they might have alternative motives. They maybe want to get down here and start picking on Italy or something. Or they could go in and they could say, I want to attack. And if that's the case, the other players have to attack as well. And it's literally 1 for 1, folks. That is it. You take them off the board. So 1 ship for 1 ship. Now you can see in this case, France still has a ship there. They got the majority. Let's just say Britain comes in again Again, they want to attack. It's 1-4-1. Now you can see in this case that there's actually no ships left in either of these two. The influence stays there unless someone else comes in. So let's just say Britain did have another ship. They could come in here. That swaps over to a red token. You can get some weird scenarios where, let's just say, for example, those two blues were there, the two red came in, they've annihilated each other, and it just happened that yellow had a friendly ship there. They are the majority, so that actually goes to yellow. So just be mindful of that. Right, so that was reds. They did a maneuver. They moved all their pieces over to Germany. Let's show you. Let's show you tax. It's a bit early, really, but so how tax works. First thing we do, so again on here, each unoccupied factory. So you've got 1, 2 factories worth 2 million each. That's 4 million, and then each token. So this is where it's important to spread out your influence. Is worth 1 million. So 1, 2, 3 million. So 4 plus the 3 is a value of 7 million. You are getting tax from your nation and the areas you have spread your influence. And what you do then is what have we got? So you move up on the tax chart just over here. So black, you can see 7 moves up to that spot. And for each spot you go up, you get a bonus as well of 1 million for each spot. So you as an investor, having done your nation proud, oh, I was going to grab 10 millions then. So where are we? Germany, these guys. So they're going to get a 2 million, what should we call it? A dividend. So 1, 2, they've gone up 2 spots. So they get 2 million for that. Next thing you can see on the side is, we do the PowerPoints third actually. It was 7 million and you minus the cost of your army, so 1 million each. So you can see these guys have currently got 1 ship and 2 artillery, so that's going to cost them 3 million to run their military. So 7 for tax minus the 3 is 4 million from the bank to the nation. So this is a great way to get money into your nation. So that's 4 million. You then lastly figure out the PowerPoints. So you can see on the side here we've got a +2 in blue. So black will go up 2 spots on this bottom power track. Now this is the key to the game, folks. As you go up, you can see this area is with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First nation to 5 ends the game immediately and you add up the points. Now clearly the higher up the better. So let's just say black ends up in this free zone. And let's just rig it a little bit. We've got a few of these. And how are you going to work out your victory points? Well, you will, so let's just say black gets to 25. Whatever shares you've got, you're going to multiply the interest number at the top in bold by the zone you're in. So anyone who's got bonds in Germany, in this case, it's 5 times 6. It's 30 points. You will also add on any money you've kept throughout the game or saved. And so let's just say you had 30 points for Germany, plus the 4 would be 34 million. Now, obviously, you do it for all the shares as well. So in this case, purple would get in the zone of 2. So 2 times what we got 7 is 14 points plus any money. So that's how you work out the points. And clearly you want to be taxing your nations to get more power as you go up, and it's accumulative. So let's just go back to where we were. In this case, Germany gained 2 power points. If in the future they go up or down, they're going to keep adding these points. So say +4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can never lose points. Every time you go up, you're going to get those dividends. So we go from here to here, we're going to get 2 dividends for being a good investor again. But if you ever go down or you stay where you are, you're not going to get that bonus. Right then. Let's head over to Russia, and they are going to, let's maneuver. They've got a big military force here, and we're going to go, they're thinking, right, the yellows are getting a bit ahead of themselves. Austria here with all their factories, so they're going to go 1 in here and they're going to declare themselves as attacking. Nothing actually happens, except that when these guys come to produce, they can only produce in these 2 factories, and equally they can't use that factory as part of their tax amount. So you remember on the last move we went 2, 4, 6. In this case it'd be 2, 4 plus any influence, these 2 here, which is hindering them. You could also, if you want, it's quite pricey, you could send 3 units in and you could destroy that factory, which is a bit harsh. And go on, we'll do that to show you what's going going on. Not really treating Russia very well with that. But so that's how you would destroy a factory. Might be something you want to do if you think a nation's getting a bit full of themselves. Over to Austria-Hungary then. So yellows. It confuses me in this game because you see the red and you're like, right, go for the red, but you got to note this one here, the yellow. We're going to go past the investor spot no matter what, but are we wanting to land on it? Maybe we want to get a bit of money out of that nation. I think we will. So yellows. So firstly, they're going to pay anyone who has yellows the interest amount, which in this case is 6, which is good timing because this player hasn't actually got any yellow shares, so all the money's actually just coming back to this player, which is great. So 6 million, and that's nice. It gives them a bit of money to buy stuff. Do they have the investor card? I can't even see where I put it now. Oh yeah, they do have the investor card as well, so great timing. So they're going to get 2 million as well from the bank. Where are we? So we've paid the interest, we've got the 2 million, we hand this over to the next player. Now they get to buy a share. Now let's see if we can take Italy here. So what do we need? So they've got a value of 9, we've got a value of 6. So if we buy this bond here for 6 mil, which I think we can afford now. So we put 6 million into the Italians fund. We now buy this bond and you can see our tally is 2, 3, plus the, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one, 4, 6, 12. Compared to player 2's 9, they have the majority of the money invested in bonds, so they now get the flag, which is absolutely amazing because this player could have been building this army, they could have been building factories, and then you come in and you take over and you're governor, which means that in this case, you know, you got Austria-Hungary here, you got Italy here, and you can, rather than, you know, player 2 is deciding to maybe invade, you can then reflect these forces over here and start attacking, you know, Britain or whoever you wish to. So, and it clearly is flux and flow, which is what I like, because the game changes political powers so often throughout the game that it's just comical sometimes. But the key is you're an investor, so it doesn't really matter too much. As long as you're developing these bonds in the background, it's about getting this power rating up at the right time and just having enough shares to outdo your opponent when it comes to that scoring. Right, where were we? I was getting excited. So we've done Austria, they bought a share, we've swapped that over to Italy. Let's go. Well, there's no point doing tax, they haven't done a lot. So you can see now that these guys are already going to be running Italy, and we're going to manoeuvre. So Italy may have started, you know, going for Austria-Hungary had it been this player, but they're going to come out of port. We're going to get a tax token for that one, and we're going to transport one each of these through the ships into these 2 countries, which is fine, and we're going to get some tax tokens for that as well. Right then, over to France, and well, they kind of have to either land on it or go past it. Probably, well, both players have got shares, so there's not actually a lot of money in there. There's only 4 million. So in this case, if they did land on investor, whoever's the governor would have to pay that money to the opponents first, and if they can't afford to, it comes out of their own private fund. So in this case, they don't really want to land on it. They're going to go past it and they're going to go to production. So 3 spots, that's fine. We still carry out actions, or should I say number 2 and 3 of the investor spot, which is this player. In this case, they get 2 million from the bank, they pass it on to the next player, and they get to buy a share as well. And before I forget, I'm going to do the production. So France are going to make 2 boats, going to put them in the harbour, and they're going to make artillery. Now what can these guys buy? Are they going to buy? Are they going to fight for Italy again? I think they're going to probably pass on that one. They might try and pinch. So they've got Britain and they've got Russia. The Germans would be a good shout to other sort of northern areas, but you can see player 1's got a value of 13 mil, which is quite steep to get into because they've only got 2, 3, 4, 6 million. What can they buy? Let's get in the Austria-Hungary game. There we are. So 6 mil. They've put that in there now. What we got? Yeah, all of the money. Now, why would they have done that? So basically, they haven't got any yellow shares in Austria. Every time these guys are going on the invest spot, which they had done previously, they're getting paid 6 million interest. These guys want to get in on that. They're going to get 3 million every time that those guys do that. So you kind of want to have a spread, really, I guess. Over to Britain. Let's just go invest. Show you one more time on this one. They got loads of money in there. And so these guys are going to be getting interest of up to 6. These guys haven't got any shares in it yet. So 6 million. Money back. These guys get 2 million because they got the investor card and they're passing it on. So they now get to buy a share. They've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 million to spend. Ooh, shall they go for... Made a bit of a mess at the bottom here. Let's go Austria-Hungary because they want to cement their position. Now, I'll probably wrap it up there, folks. But before I do, I want to show you the importance of these. So you can, so far, I've only shown you buying a bond outright. But you could upgrade one. So in this case, they got, let's just say they got loads of money and they can do what they want. They want to upgrade this 9 mil to a 25. They can do that. They just pay the difference. So they can swap that one and swap this one back out. And that's crucial because if you start going for these big ones, it's going to be harder for someone to buy just one share that can oust you because you can only ever buy one of these shares when it's your time to invest. So that's massive, but equally you're letting other people the opportunity to get these smaller denominations, which are not only better interest rate, you can see 50%, but they might be able to oust you by like one digit. So if they had, say, a 20 mil and they managed to get this 4 and this 2, you can see that they've got 26 mil, so they take power. So let's assume that's player 2 and this is player 1. And these are the only ones remaining. So they're going to have to pay potentially 9 million just to get ahead of that 26. So there's a lot of strategies to which shares you buy, do you upgrade, what do you leave for your opponents, and just to get that majority. Now, as I say, it's tit for tat sometimes. It might not be that you really want to go all out on that one nation, but you just want to keep up and make sure they don't get too far ahead. And again, it's this power track. Now, I find that in the game, it does escalate quite a lot. It's a slow start, but once you get going, honestly, if you let a nation run wild and they start getting loads of these influence tokens everywhere, if they go to tax and they go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, loads of factories as well, they could potentially shoot up to here, those yellows in this case, because they got 15 plus, they're all of a sudden going to get 10 movement on here, which is massive, that's from here to there. You do that a couple of times and you've shot right up, so you really have to be careful who you're letting have influence on the board. And that's it, folks. As I say, 2-3 hours, you carry on doing that. The fun is in where these nations are, who's taking control of them. And there's a lot of banter in this game. If you really get into the theme of it, it's like, if you're the British and you really want to go after the Germans in this case, or you might just bypass everyone and start coming for these neutral areas. So that is what I love about the game. Now, the outlook, it does look very like a war game, but honestly it's not. It's all about this money, getting in at the right time, and I've won so many games by not actually controlling many of the nations at points, but just by sneakily acquiring that money and investing in the right nation at the right time. And there we are, folks, Imperial. I'm hopefully going to give you a summary and another video, a run through of Imperial 2030. That is even better than this game in my opinion. It's the same game essentially, but it's on a global map and it's a bit more streamlined in how it looks, and there's a few little tweaks and rule changes as to things like the Panama Canal as well. There we are, folks. Hope you enjoyed that and hope it gives you a better insight if you do own this on your shelf. There we are, Imperial.